In the world of sales, how can you tell if somebody's an immature buyer, and why does it matter? I'm Sylvan Bell. I'm coming to you live from Sacramento, California on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about you. Now here's the thing. A lot of times, brand new salespeople are afraid to apply pressure to buyer because they feel like they're going to get in trouble. Now, in normal conversations between you and me and all the people we're around, we typically don't have to apply pressure unless somebody's in trouble. And so we have these ties and these feelings and these emotions into, if I put pressure on something, something is going to go wrong. And this is the real deal why new salespeople or salespeople who are struggling, they revert back to this known feeling and they're like, I just don't want to do it. And here's what's going to happen is you got to know that in the sales process, I'm not saying crazy pressure, I'm not saying obnoxious pressure, but you do have to ask the person who's sitting across the table to buy from you. And you know what? Here's the thing. It is a form of conflict for some people. And so what happens is they'll sit down and they'll go like, hey, look, here's how much the sales price is. And they won't even say it's like $15,988. They'll just go, here's how much the sales price is. And they just sit there and they're like, And the buyer's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What do I do? Am I supposed to say yes? Am I supposed to say no? All right, we'll think about it. Right? That's usually the most common objection when salespeople go through this. And here's the thing. You do have to apply a certain amount of pressure. I'm not saying crazy. I'm not saying ridiculous. I am saying you do have to ask for the sale. And in order to do that, it's going to feel like pressure from the other person. It's going to feel like pressure from you because it is. Right? But in your sales presentation, you should make it the next obvious choice for that person to do. If you've done your work in your sales presentation, all of your heavy lifting is done by the time that you get to the end and ask for the business. And sometimes for some people, just asking for the business is too much pressure on their mind. They're like, oh my goodness, I have to ask for the business. This is a lot of pressure on me. It's going to put a lot of pressure on the buyer. So it does, because the voice pattern changes, the body pattern changes, all the intention changes, the feelings and the emotions change. Right? You have to be comfortable with asking somebody to move forward. You have to be comfortable enough to say, hey, it's really easy to get started. I just need a driver's license. Hey, it's really easy to get started. I just need your electric bill. Hey, it's really easy to get started. I just need your authorization right here on the agreement, right? Whatever way that you're going to do to ask for the business, you're not me and I'm not you. There's a million ways to do it. Whatever your flavor of the month or flavor of the year is for asking for the business, that's where you insert it, okay? So you do have to ask the buyer to take the next step. Your job as a salesperson is to be a leader. And a form of leadership is asking them to move forward. And for some people, it's just they're really uncomfortable with it because if they ask that question, it means that they could get an objection. It means that they might have to deal with an objection. It means they might have to hurt the buyer's feelings that they built so much rapport with. And this is one of the reasons why I say rapport can be used against you in the world of sales. So if you could use it against the buyer, they can use it against you. And I don't mean that in a bad way for the most part, except for when you're like, hey, you know what? If I ask this buyer to go to buy my product, they're not ever going to go fishing with me. All right, chances are probably pretty good they were never going to go fishing with you again. They were using some forms of emotional manipulation on you to get a better deal. Just like you're doing the same thing with them. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying for what it is. Don't get me wrong. A buyer is going to put pressure on you from the stories that they tell you, from the questions that they ask, and the things that they do because they're anticipating what you're going to do to them, okay? So how you could tell if someone's an immature salesperson, they're afraid to apply the right amount of pressure. And so here's the thing. This is why you need a coach. This is why you need a trainer. This is why somebody needs to do a side-by-side or a ride-along with you to make sure that you're asking the right questions and doing the right thing. Over-the-top crazy pressure? No, right? There's no need for that if you're using a sales process that works. There you go. You got one thing to do from here, just one thing. Find the subscribe button and click on it every time I send out a video. You'll get an update that says Scott Bell Consultant sent out another fantastic video. You should check it out, which you should. We'll see you soon. Aloha.